So there are some role-playing games that, based on our player personality, based on the type of adventures that we want to run as a GM, that we play pretty regularly. Myself, D&D is a main staple of my role-playing diet. A mix of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and D&D 5.0, although occasionally we'll get together a 3.x game or a 4.0 game, and I've gone on record saying that I enjoy D&D 4.0 for what it does. I also really enjoy running Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, jumping into kind of that narrative as the antithesis of D&D, where magic is rare, combat is extremely deadly, and you're not a godlike superhero, 15th level sorcerer, or 15th level fighter with 380 hit points, and the cleric's going to resurrect you. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, you are a mortal. You are a normal person thrust into various situations. That would make up, I'd say, the bulk of my role-playing experience. Then there are systems that we play kind of on and off, depending on what we're feeling in the moment or depending if the group can assemble. An example of that would be Dark Heresy, which is a Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game. In my other life, I enjoy playing Warhammer 40,000 as Wargamer Fritz, so it's very easy to play with the guys at the club, roll the dice, push the miniatures around, and then pull them in and play some Dark Heresy. I also enjoy really playing Alien, the RPG. I'm a massive fan of the Alien universe, and it's kind of cool to get together some role players from different systems that have different outlooks and pull them into that narrative and play a cinematic game or run a campaign. We just finished a 6 gaming session campaign, and it was very, very interesting to sidestep into that universe. And then there are role-playing games that they're a little bit different. They're a little bit unique. They're a little bit out there. You kind of need the right group who are not only willing to explore the rules, but also willing to invest as players. And this is where we start to see the shift. A gaming system like Dungeons & Dragons, D&D, in any incarnation, the DM, the Dungeon Master, they have to do the heavy lifting. I mean, the players, certainly they're going to help the narrative. They're going to make decisions. As a DM, you're going to take notes. It's going to affect the story. But the plotting, the planning, the maps, the encounters, everything is handled by the DM or the GM. A game like Invisible Sun, which is a very, very kind of unique, magical type game, what attracted me to it was, first, it deals with the use of magic in a real environment and this idea of an alternate world, a dream world where magic is real. And I love magic in role-playing games, whether it's Dark Heresy, using my psychic powers, or playing D&D. If I have first choice of character, I'm going to be a wizard or I'm going to be a sorcerer. If that's taken, because I want you to play your character, then I'm cool. I'll go with a monk. But Invisible Sun, what's unique about it is the players and the GM, the game master, they're on equal footing. The GM is there to run encounters and to interpret the rules, but they're creating the story literally in the moment, literally as it unfolds. There is no pre-generated story with the game. It's a very, very unique system and a very intriguing system. And there's a lot of things that are not explained in the game because the players have to literally figure it out and they have to interpret it. So from that perspective, the players need to, they're almost like co-GMs, co-game masters with you, because they have to invest not only in their character and the story, but making that unfold, really taking ownership and making that narrative unfold as opposed to sitting back and just rolling some dice. Nothing wrong with either one, just vastly different play styles. Invisible Sun, we'll play for a couple of weeks, then we'll take some time off. We'll play for a couple of weeks, we'll take some time off. It's a little bit more informal, just on the nature of players that I can gather and get to play the game. It's not a mainstream role-playing game. And then there are very, very unique role-playing games which make it to the table every now and then. And I'm not saying I'd like to play it all the time or I'd like to play it more often. I think every now and then works. Paranoia. I've been playing Paranoia for years. I love Paranoia. The computer is truly your friend. But this is a type of game that we'll play maybe 4 or 5 times a year. I've got a roster of players that I'll reach out to. I'll reach out to a couple of the gaming clubs and say, hey, we're doing some Paranoia, get 10 or 15 players and have a game, like on a Saturday for 5 or 6 hours. Paranoia is unique in that, the rules are there. Just by telling you this, I'm going to get you in trouble with the computer. But as a troubleshooter, you need to know. Maybe we're part of the same secret society. But the rules are very fluid. The computer, the game master, can decide at any moment to change them. The players in the game, troubleshooters, they're there to solve the problem that the computer is sending them out to solve in the alpha complex. So they have to succeed. If they don't, they're going to get killed. Most likely they're not going to succeed, so it's blaming everyone else around you. It's making sure everybody else dies. You're a member of a secret society, so you're trying to advance those goals. You're trying to prevent the secret society goals of the other players, because everyone belongs to a secret society. And in pushing that out, there's a lot of backstabbing. There's a lot of scapegoating. There's a lot of it's your fault, not mine. There's a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of crazy stuff. And you start off an adventure with a number of clones. And that level is adjustable. You get killed, you get vaporized. Like if you haven't died in the first 15 minutes of the game, because during the briefing you asked questions that you were not cleared to know, or you walked down the wrong colored corridor, it's not your fault. The color changes. But it's not your fault. It's your fault that you didn't know that and that it changed while you were walking down that. But if you knew that, how do you know that? Because you're not cleared to know that. You're only at red level. So all this crazy stuff, if you're not dead in 15 minutes, then we're not playing Paranoia. That said, it requires a very, very different gaming group. It requires people that are not going to take it seriously. They're not going to rage quit if they get killed. They're not going to go over the top and go nuts trying to kill other players. But it's very much an experience type role-playing game. Something one and done, something every couple of months. And from that perspective, Paranoia is really, really great. So as you explore these different role-playing systems, because all of us in this hobby, you're going to have, or I should say lifestyle, you're going to have a couple of systems that you naturally gravitate towards based on your personality, based on what you like to play, based on what you were first introduced to playing. What was that anchor point? What is your DNA, your RPG DNA? That's what pulled you in. But I encourage you to explore other role-playing systems, and I say that in that if you find another system, it doesn't have to be something that you play every week. It might be. It could be something that you play every couple of months. It could be something that you play a couple of times a year. There's different levels based on where you are, based on where the group is, and based on where you pull in and meet new RPG players in the community that you can fill and certainly get these great, great experiences with based on the system.